Nou, goedemorgen, beste vrienden. Ik zit hier aan tafel met een van de waarnemers uit Finland en een verkiezingswaarnemer uit Ierland. En nou, ze gaan een korte samenvatting geven over de gebeurtenissen gisteren hier in LNR. Eerst geef ik het woord aan Ierland. So, please tell us your impression about the elections in LNR yesterday.
Yes, my name's Hughes, and I'm from Belfast in Ireland. I came on Saturday to be a monitor for the elections. So I witnessed the election process, which is exactly the same as back home. People must show identification in order to get the ballot before they cast their vote. It's put in a sealed box. The boxes are opened after the election and counted in the election centre. So, from what I can see, the process for the election itself was fair and honourable. And I'm very glad that I have come here because I have witnessed the conflict from afar, and obviously I'm subjected to the narrative from my government, from my media, from my newspapers, as to what's actually been happening here. But speaking to the people and meeting the other delegates and election monitors and people that have lived here for many years, that have come home as immigrants that have come back, or emigres that have come back to their country, I've had a completely alternative view of what's happening. So when I go home, I will have the chance to process all this. But from what I can see, the election result yesterday was more than 70%. That is a huge endorsement of the government. So the people of Lugansk, through sheer numbers, the volume of people who have voted, have given a huge mandate to the government on their behalf to act as a separate republic from the Ukraine. And when you consider that the Ukraine government isn't elected, it was a fascist coup. Many people see that, inspired by the West and America, in order to bring the Ukraine into NATO and into the EU and away from Russia. So they were taking the people of Lugansk away from what they consider to be their hinterland and their homeland. I think people have a democratic right to say that is an illegal fascist coup. They do not represent us. We have not voted for them. So the people yesterday voted for a legitimate government to act in their interests and on their behalf. And I salute the people of Lugansk for having the bravery to sacrifice, in many instances, their lives. Many families have been affected by the war. Hopefully there will be now peace going forward, and that the Democratic Republic of Lugansk will receive the international accreditation that it needs going forward for its economy and for its legitimate government.
Cool, thank you very much. And how about Finland?
Yes.
Please give us your impression.
Yes. So my name is Jarm Ekman. I'm a Finnish. I'm from Finland and a freelance journalist. And I was invited here to observe the elections. In fact, I was here approximately 2 years ago as well to observe the primaries, which were sort of a rehearsal for these elections. And well, it was my opinion then, and it's my opinion now that the elections were held according to the international standards, as they say. The system is relatively similar to the one that we have in Finland. You have your voting place where you have to be registered, and you show your identification, and then you get your voting cards, and you can vote in private, and then you put the cards in a sealed box. And I was happy to see that the turnout was high, at least in the places where we went to, and people seem to want to use their right to vote, which is of course something that they have really fought for. The conflict that started after 2004, after the Donetsk and Lugansk Oblast, they declared their independence. Of course, it has taken a heavy toll, but people have really sacrificed everything for their right to vote again. And I think this shows in the enthusiasm and the fact that and of course the conflict is still ongoing. I mean, every day you can read the reports on the number of shellings, and they usually are not, or there very seldomly is a day when there is no shelling, and unfortunately still people, of course, get killed and so forth, and they even managed to do the voting in these circumstances and on the front lines. I saw some pictures where people were able to vote on the front lines, and then this is sort of I think, I don't know, maybe even in history, do we have these kind of examples where democracy works even in the harshest of conditions? And so this is, I think we should always keep that in mind as well, that it's by no means ordinary situation that these people have here, and the international economic blockade, the information blockade, the shelling, it's one of the most harshest situations on this planet at the moment, I would even say, and so compared to that, especially, I think it was a very well done job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Better get going.